I'm Sister Simone Campbell. I'm a sister of social service. One of the areas that we work on here at Network is the area of immigration reform. And immigration, I think, is one of the biggest social sins of this time. And that just from a market perspective, from an economic perspective, we know that the free market needs two things to work. It needs the free movement of capital and it needs the free movement of people. And we have all kinds of treaties for the free movement of capital. We have nothing for the free movement of people. And so people are exploited, people are taken advantage of, people are trafficked, people are really desperate for survival in very poverty-ridden circumstances. And so from my perspective, it's all the human right for taking care of the people in our society who are the casualties of our free market system. And so we believe as a matter of justice, as a matter of faith, that we need to reform our immigration system to provide a marketplace that works well for everyone, not just the owners of capital. And to that end, we work vigorously to make sure that, or to try to change our system so that it works for people, not just for money. Immigrant stories that really touch the heart. I think the one that's most painful for me is that in my community we have sisters in Mexico, and they work with those who are family left behind by people who come to El Norte, who come across the border to the north. And one of our sisters, young sisters, her father was crossing to the north. He'd been up here for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, most of her growing up. And he got kidnapped this last time, this was a year ago. He got kidnapped by some of the drug cartels, and her family had to pay pay money to get him released. And they were panicked because they didn't have cash. They're very poor. They live out in the ranchos in the state of Michoacan. And all he was trying to do was to support his family so that his kids could go to school. And yet, he could only do that without papers. He was so vulnerable to these people who were allegedly helping him, and then was held captive. And when he was finally released, he was fairly traumatized, but kept going in order to try to care for his family. It's a horrible story. And they were terrified. They didn't hear from him for over 2 weeks, and they didn't know what was going on. But finally he was freed. He was one of the lucky ones. Apparently one of the guys that was kidnapped with him ended up dying of a heart attack while he was being held captive. He was just so terrified. Those things break your heart. I mean, how could we as a nation continue to allow this to happen? I don't know. It's horrible.